ఏదో ప్రియరాగం వింటున్నా చిరునవ్వుల్లో
I don't know the lyrics.
ప్రేమ ఆ సవ్వడి నీదేనా.
No, we should sing Yagare Mabulalona.
I love that song.
Dude, I'm down. Let me look it up.
No, when your grades are dropping, Yagare Mabulalona. No, wait. When your grades are picking up, actually, when your grades are whoop, it's Yagare Mabulalona. Or when your grades are flat, like going down, Indukilana karma kala poyindi. Or when you're trying to ask your professor for good grades. Oh, Baba. Oh, wait, not oh, Baba, shoot. Oh, professor, na GPA pinchestaba. Oh, professor, okay, estaba. Oh, professor, please increase my grade.
Hello guys, welcome to Telugu Saga. Nenu mi Vishal, Sai, Una.
None, bro. What's up?
ఏం చేస్తున్నావు?
నీతో మాట్లాడుతున్నా బ్రో. ఏం చేయమంటావు?
అసలు నార్త్ కేరళలో వాతావరణం ఎలా ఉంది?
వాతావరణం వచ్చాక కొంచెం మారింది. I hope it stays like this. It's good 80s weather.
Good 80s weather. Nice, bro.
Yeah. California నుంచి తీసుకొచ్చా same weather. Yeah.
అసలే summer time. So
dude, I can't do this. I'm not ready to like get tanned yet.
మన కలర్ ఏంటి బ్రో? ఇంకా ట్యాన్ అవసరం అని చెప్పు.
అంటే ఇంకా నల్లగా అవ్వకూడదని చెప్తున్నా.
ఓకే. సరే ఏం తిన్నావు?
ఏం తిన్నానా? Mom's special, bro. Mom always cooks me something before I leave, like mixer chesindi, like chicken fry, shrimp fry, and like paneer tomato fried rice. I ate some yesterday, but today was a leftover, and I went to get some groceries for the rest of the week. So yeah. Nice, how about you, man?
ఏమో బ్రో, ఏదో ఒకటి తింటున్నాను కానీ ఐ థింక్ లైక్ ఇంట్లో అన్నం పప్పు, యూనో.
ఏది బిర్యానీ? ఏది
ఈసారి ఈ వీక్ బిర్యానీ లేదు బ్రో.
బా.
But you know, mom's papu is always special, you know.
Dude, నే వేసుకున్నావా?
నే వేసుకోను బ్రో.
ఓ నువ్వు ఆ టైపా? ఓకే.
నువ్వు ఇంకే టైప్ కానీ
మామిడికాయ పచ్చడి and నెయ్యి. Yeah.
Okay. All right, bro. So I'm excited for today's podcast. Today we have two lovely ladies in our podcast. We're going to be talking about the Indian American like perspective being in the US, and we're going to talk about it from like the female perspective. You know, they're going to be able to share their opinion and, you know, feelings about it. So let me invite Navya. Navya, are you there?
I'm always here. Hi guys. Hey.
Hi Navya.
Hey.
And Veda. Hi Veda. All right, so quick thing, you guys want to like talk about yourself real quick, you know, introduce yourself to the audience?
So Telugu lo matladala or English lo matlada or like mix abba? So okay, I'm gonna mix it. So na peru Navya, I was born in Michigan, lived in Bengaluru for 3 years, and now I landed in Ohio. I am studying at the University of Cincinnati and majoring in international affairs with a minor in political science, and got that double certificate in Middle Eastern studies and legal studies. So yeah, that's me.
That's cool. Veda?
నా పేరు వేద. నేను ఇండియాలో పుట్టాను, and then I came to America when I was like 3-ish. I grew up in Michigan. I'm in Pennsylvania now. I went to Wayne State, and I'm studying to be a doctor. And I'm just happy to be here with all of you.
That's cool. Thank you guys for coming on our show and podcast. Like, we started this podcast 2 months ago, and ippudu ambane, you know, STT Neil Pittaka, you know, we started getting good responses, and we're happy about that. So our first few podcasts that we've done, Sai and I actually already like were friends and we knew them for years. Navya and Veda are like recent friends, and we started talking with them, and it's really nice to have a conversation with them. So we wanted to get their opinion on this topic here. So, question for you guys, like straight off the bat, like being an Indian American, especially Telugu, asalu Telugulo అంటే do you feel like ఒక పార్షియాలిటీ ఉంటుందా అంటే అబ్బాయిలకి అమ్మాయిలకి ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇన్ లైక్ ద తెలుగు కమ్యూనిటీ?
I feel like there's like a difference. I mean, for me, it's my mom and I have these conversations all the time about like how, like I'll be like, "Mom, why are you attacking me like late at night? Like, let me be, let me live." And she's like, "No, it's not safe, you know." And I'm like, "Come on, why can't I be like Janelia and Bomarilu who goes out and have ice cream like at 12 a.m.? Like, can I do that?"
Albeit her dad doesn't really know about that.
Like, yeah, like, but still, like, she has that opportunity just to go and get ice cream from like strangers. Come
I
on.
mean, I think we relatively, like, I think women relatively have a lot more freedom in the US than they do generally back in India. But, or even just like immigrant children in general, they have more freedom here. But I also think that like in the Telugu culture, there's a stark difference between how we treat our girls versus how we treat our boys. We baby our boys a little more, especially moms. Whereas like for girls, we still baby them, but we kind of are like, if you don't study, if you don't work hard, you're not gonna like be able to do all those things that you enjoy. And we're a lot more protective of them, specifically because in India there's so much like problem with like personal security and like going out and stuff. And sometimes that mentality just kind of carries over.
Makes sense. So you guys gave a good answer. So basically, how I came up with this topic is, first of all, when we started to do the podcast, this was around the same time that on Netflix, Never Have I Ever popped up, and I haven't watched it or anything, but I know the premise like of what it is. So I thought, okay, it's an interesting thing, being an Indian American. So that's why I wanted to like talk to people about it, and you guys like had kind of the similar approach in like being on the podcast. So I thought, okay, this might be a good one. But yeah, I mean, especially what I've seen is like in our culture, మనం ఎక్కువ అబ్బాయిలకి like ఎక్కువ అంత లైక్ కన్సర్న్ ఉండదు. ఎక్కువ అమ్మాయిలకే ఉంటుంది. లైక్ గోయింగ్ అవుట్ లేట్ అట్ నైట్ ఆర్ హ్యాంగింగ్ అవుట్ విత్ సర్టెన్ పీపుల్, అండ్ ఇట్స్ వెరీ కామన్. అంటే అది చూస్తాం. బట్ ఐ థింక్ స్లోలీ థింగ్స్ ఆర్ చేంజింగ్. వాట్ డు యు గైస్ థింక్? డు యు సీ దట్ ట్రాన్సిషన్? డు యు సీ మన తెలుగు కమ్యూనిటీ ఇంకా ప్రోగ్రెసివ్ అవుతున్నారని అనిపిస్తుందా మీకు?
I mean, when you mentioned that show, Never Have I Ever, like, I finished that show one shot fasak, okay? One day fasak. Like, when I watched it, I was like, there was like Facebook low, like Andrew had like different opinions. So people were like, this show is just not what I expected of South Asian representation. Mindy Kaling is such a whitewashed like writer. And then people were like, yeah, it's a good show. Like I could relate to it. For me, I was like in the balance. I was like, okay, towards the end of the show, like I like the father and daughter bond. But in the beginning, I didn't like how it was so focused about sex. Like we we Indians are so academic. We're like AP courses, honor courses. We need to get here, there. Tuition. You need to get full tuition. We're so focused on that, but like I feel like sex. Like what is that? I felt like that was like the focus point of the show. But within the Telugu community, I feel like they're holding those traditions. Like there's some things they're holding on. Like my mom this morning told me like, Navia, why are you wearing this tank top? Like I was like, what's wrong with it? And she's like, yeah, you're like whole like all your like armpits are like sticking out. I'm like, Mom, it's just a tank top. Like you bought it. And she's like, you're supposed to wear it with a shrug. So my mom and I kind of argue with clothing wise. Like we have like fights about clothing. So one day I secretly bought some ripped jeans and she doesn't know about it. But hope she doesn't watch this podcast.
I like how you say your name in like the most white way possible.
Oh my, no. Ever since living in Michigan, like 12 years, man, everybody's like Navia, but it's like Navia.
No,
And people
Yeah.
correct me for that. I'm like, you know what? Just let it be, man. Let it be, okay? Let it
Dude,
be.
your name is whatever you want it to be. We call Snoop Dogg like 5 different names in the past decade. We can call you Navya if you want. We can call you Navya if you want. We can
Yeah.
just call you Navu if we want. Like, it's fine.
No blue.
నువ్వు మాకిచ్చేది నవ్వులే కదా బంగారం.
Thank you, Veda.
But but no, I'm one of those people that I have like very strong opinions about Never Have I Ever. I'm gonna try to keep it short because like I don't want this to get too long. But I had a similar thing where I was like, I know that they were trying to show representation, and that's really hard when you're the first kind of like TV show movie of your kind. There's so much of like a plethora of things that you could actually say, and it's hard to condense all of those different stories of people into one show. That being said, I really didn't like the show. Just as a show, I don't think it has like a great story, and I don't think the characters, other than the main character, are really like that well defined. And on the other side, I think for representation, I think Mindy Kaling has like a history of doing very like parody type comedy, and it really kind of translates over. But you can't parody something that isn't like mainstream, that it hasn't been established. So it comes off as like memes and stuff here and there of relatability, but the show overall isn't super relatable. There's lots of things that it doesn't delve into, and lots of things it delves into in a questionable manner, like what Navya said about what she felt about the show, and then also like a lot of things with like her like having a disability but then it getting better. I feel like that's weird if to like someone watching who actually would have a disability. And also there's just a lot of themes in the show are like of mental health, of like religious marriage, are just things that are so nuanced in actual Indian American life, and they're really glossed over in the show. There could have been more representation of like different storylines of different people.
That's how I felt with Family Karma. That show, my whole family sat and watched. They were swearing, and they were like, they had like, it was not like a typical Indian American like show I would expect. Like Family Karma, like the outfits, like they're all immigrants. Like they came to like Florida, settled in Florida. They have businesses, living in big homes. But like for me, I grew up as like a middle class family. Like my mom and dad like you know immigrated from Visakhapatnam and Kakinada area to live in Michigan to give us the American dream. That's what our parents want. They want to give us the American dream. But when I watched Family Karma, I was like,
these
wow.
people live in a different dream.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like there's so a lot of times Never Have I Ever ended up being very checklist, in that they were just like going for things that would like seem mainstream or to check off boxes to like of like what people want to see. But the one thing that they missed in their show is that they don't have socioeconomic diversity. It's all about like really rich people. And that's really out of touch with like the majority of brown culture. Like a lot of people aren't rich and they're still living in America. Family Karma and Never Have I Ever have the same problem with that, where it's not showing you like they market it as like, oh, a typical look into like the life of Indian Americans, but they're very affluent Indian Americans. It's a really small section of Indian American culture, and you're missing out on a big like chunk of people. You're not representing them, and that's why people are so upset about it. They're like, this doesn't show the majority of people.
I
It's,
agree.
makes sense. I mean, I haven't actually watched Never Have I Ever.
I haven't watched Family Karma.
I don't know much about it to talk about it, but I just got the idea of like how like the whole Indian American thing. But నాకు ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు మనమందరం లైక్ యూనో ఇండియాలో పుట్టి లైక్ యూనో ఇక్కడ వచ్చి అదంతా ఉంటుంది కదా. సో ఎప్పుడన్నా లైక్ అంటే చిన్నప్పుడే మన ఏమంటాం లైక్ we get influenced by like things when we're younger, right? సో ఎప్పుడన్నా ఇక్కడ ఉన్న కల్చర్ కి మన ఇండియన్ కల్చర్ తెలుగు కల్చర్ కి did you ever feel you you didn't know where you belonged?
To be honest, like I grew up so Nano like Dearborn. I was born in Dearborn, so that was like the Muslim community. But then I lived in like Canton, Michigan, so there was like a bunch of Indians. Like ever since I was a kid, I would attend ball vihar lessons, like do dance performances. Like so I grew up within an Indian community, and also my parents like taught me Indian culture. Like they weren't like, no, you're not gonna be like so whitewashed. They were like, you know what, we're gonna give you a balance of both worlds. Like because like with Telugu, we don't like we're the generation that shouldn't like give up Telugu. Like sometimes there's gonna be people out there who don't know it. So they're gonna like we don't want it to go away, you know. We just want it to be like in history, the language Telugu, the culture. And to be honest, I'm not even American. I act too Indian for
I
real.
mean, I think that balance is what like Navya's talking about is really important. As a kid, I didn't live in a Telugu dominated area, and I know there's a lot more of them now. There's just a lot more Telugu people everywhere now, but in the US, but when I was a kid, I lived in like a very white community, which was fine. They were all very nice people and I got to grow as a person. But it made me feel very like out of place sometimes, like a fish out of water, and I couldn't really connect with people on the same things. But at the same time, like I didn't go to like Balavihar, I didn't go to like DTA or Dana or whatever. But my parents did always want me to like keep talking in Telugu and enjoy Telugu movies. Like everyone finds their connection with their culture in a different way. And some people find it through dance or through music, and some people find it just through movies or like talking with people. It's all, and a lot of people now are finding themselves like looking at their culture more as they get into like their college years because they're influenced by their peers who are so embracing of their own culture. And it's like a general movement in our cultural zeitgeist to like want to preserve your culture a lot more.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Sai, you wanna add something?
Sai silent అయిపోయాడు.
Silent Sai.
Silent Sai.
He wants to go for that alliteration.
Yeah. Ayo boy, Sigu.
I think for every parent that comes to a new country, there is a culture shock, and at least for my family, please correct me if you're wrong, because like Veda said, it goes through every parent goes through a different phases and influence that they go through. So for my family, it takes anyone time to embrace the new culture with their environment, and for us, you know, my parents were. It took them time, and I feel like everyone needs time to kind of like observe what's going around them, because you know, what do we do here that we don't do in India? For example, like sleepovers, right? Sleepers are fun even for guys and girls. It's like, you know, all guys get together, you know, play some games and like chips and movies. It's fun, but for them, for our parents, it's like, hey, we're not used to it.
వేరే వాళ్ళ ఇంట్లో పడుకోవటం ఏంటి, అక్కడికి వెళ్ళి ఆడుకుని ఇంటికి వచ్చేసి.
God, no, our situation sleepovers though, it's like if I ask my mom, she'd be like, okay, it depends if we know them. Like, like close.
But then that limits your sleepovers to like Indian kids and then like maybe some white kids your parents know really well. Or like some like school kids. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I don't know with Indian parents, but when I see their kids, I see myself. Indukante, they put the kids, they like put them in everything. So నేను చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి I was like in swimming, I was in arts, like I would do drawing even though it's so bad. నేను సారిగమప చేశాను. I did the clarinet when I was a kid. Bharatanatyam, like I did so much as a kid, and then when I see other parents do the same, I was like, ఏంటిది అబ్బా ఎందుకు like అన్నిట్లో పెట్టున్నావు మీ పిల్లలకి because
I think it's a lot because they gave up a lot in order to like just focus on studies to get to America. So when they put you in all those things, they're like, నేను చేయలేకపోయాను కానీ నువ్వు చెయ్యి, నువ్వు బాగా నేర్చుకో. And I think that's also why a lot of parents are so pushy, like that tiger parenting kind of thing of like being like, నేను పెట్టాను కదా బాగా కష్టపడాలి, నువ్వు ఫస్ట్ ఉండాలి. But it's more just that they're like living vicariously through you, which isn't like necessarily fair to you psychologically, but it's also a way for them to really appreciate like you being able to learn those things. It's their own version of like appreciation.
No, whenever I like be like, Daddy, naku into the clarinet istam ledu endukante na braces, like I had braces at the time, so whenever I would play it would hurt, and then my dad would be like double dandaga waste chesavu.
Clarinet buddies. I played clarinet too.
A double to tuition lo cut it, like we could pay for it, you know. I was like,
yeah, I played clarinet, then I switched to oboe, which cost my dad more, and so every month he'd be like, ఏదో నేను నీకోసం కడతన్నాను కానీ ఇది ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నాను నాకు అర్థం కావట్లేదు.
I think ఒక టైంలో ఒక phase ఉండేది, like a lot of Telugu parents or Indian parents in general, when they used to like live next to each other, right? There was always like some type of comparison, and our parents do that, right? Like oh, like we'll choose just they always do that, but I think it's just because like they constantly hear other people doing it, and they're like, why isn't my kid doing it, or why isn't like my son or daughter doing it, so I think that's where it comes from, basically.
Yeah, it's a mix of like the total sociability of like Indian culture where there's so much people talk about, and also of like in America you only get to do that when you see other Indian people and you're like, I feel comfortable enough that I can talk to you about like these things. So when they do get that chance, they're like, I will tell you about everything about my kid. And a lot of people have like the kind of mentality of like hyping up their kid in front of other people and then coming home being like, why didn't do better? I need more hype.
Yeah, I think that my parents do that. Like if I ever mention something, they just come at me like, "Oh, your friend got full tuition. Look at you." And then I think I start crying. Like I just be like full out argument. Like, okay, I am working so hard, and you're telling me about other kids. Like, come on, what is this? Like, I'd be like, I want to do this, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, your friend's doing that. What, like, I'm like, mom and dad, I am trying to impress you, Like, I am doing the best I can, and you're telling me about other kids. ఏంటిది అబ్బా ఇందుకిలా నా కర్మ
How could you talk about other people in front of me? That's so hurtful.
No.
I think it's like a different love language for them. Americans express love very differently than like Indians do, and especially South Indians. South Indian love isn't very like PDA like centric. It's not about like hugging or telling your kid that you love them every day. It's more about showing in the little things. They would never let you skip a meal, and they're more likely to like brag about you when you're not there. They want to keep you humble is their intention, but sometimes it crosses the line into being a little harsh and being like, because you don't get that love, but you like get that criticism, and so it's a weird balance. You have to be able to pick up on those little things of like how they show that they love you.
To be honest, my parents not brag about me. They just talk about me right in front of me, like in a separate room.
Dude, all brown parents brag.
No, later they be like, Navya ilaga chestunda dorm lo undi online classes తీసుకొని, and I just be sitting there doing my work and they still talk about me. I'm like,
come to my house. My parents will brag about you.
They're just like nonstop talk about me. I'm like, I'm in the house, right? Why can't you do it when I'm not in the house? How about that?
Not to trash on like my Telugu community near me, but నాకు వచ్చే ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏంటిదంటే, ఇప్పుడు నేను లైక్ ఎక్కడన్నా ఫ్యామిలీ ఫ్రెండ్ ఎక్కడన్నా వెళ్తాను, and then like when I was back in high school I used to ask them like, hey, what SAT score you got, right, or whatever, and they would tell me one score, and then their parents would like talk to other parents and tell the other parents like a completely different score. So మా నాన్నకి ఏం చెప్తానంటే, లైక్ ఇవన్నీ నువ్వు నమ్మకు, లైక్ నేను నీకు ట్రాన్స్పరెంట్ గా చెప్తున్నాను కదా, సో జస్ట్ బిలీవ్ మీ, డోంట్ కంపేర్ ఎనీథింగ్. అండ్ సో నేను ఏదన్నా అంటే గ్రేడ్స్ విషయంలో కానీ ఏదన్నా ఐఎమ్ వెరీ ట్రాన్స్పరెంట్ మై ఫ్రెండ్స్. సో I think in that sense, like I'm very real to them. I don't like try to show that I have like a different side of me. I try to show, even though I've gotten in trouble multiple times, or like they're upset with me, but this is me. I try to be as straightforward as possible, so I don't have any issues. But yeah,
I think that's a big thing with like Indian American kids and deciding like what to tell your parents and what not to tell your parents.
Yeah.
Because all parents are different. There's no right or wrong choice. Some parents need some time in order to digest things before you can tell them the complete truth. Some people are very accepting, like if you just are honest with them. But especially with big things like school, like what you want to do in your life, who you want to marry, who you're dating, whatever. People have such a hard time in our generation being able to trust their parents, to be supportive of them, or to understand where they're coming
I think it's just the environment that our parents grew up in, because like dating in their culture is like doesn't exist. Like you're like they go for arranged marriages and straight. So like if you tell them about dating, they'd be like,
అబ్బాయిలతో బయటకెళ్ళి తిరగటమా ఏంటి పిచ్చేషాలు ఇంట కూర్చొని చదువుకో అమ్మా
no, మా అమ్మ చెప్తుంది. She'd be like, group లో వెళ్తున్నావా అబ్బాయిలతో and అమ్మాయిలతో. Yes, mother. There's mix of boys and girls. It's co-ed.
Oh my god, it's like in Bombarello. మా నాన్న చెప్పాడు. That's what you have to say when you're outside. నేను అబ్బాయిలతో మాట్లాడకూడదంట మా నాన్న చెప్పాడు.
Literally lectures from parents. Oh my god. Like when I was in high school, okay, I was like, Daddy, I don't want to go to like school anymore. Like I hate school. He lectures me from Intiki. Like he starts from home and then when he drops me off, he's be like, okay, go study. He like lectures me the whole way. I'm like, Daddy, okay. Aapra baboy aapu. Liko katanno.
My dad tries like reverse psychology instead. I'll just be like, it's so hard. And he'll be like, అంత కష్టంగా ఉంటే వదిలేసే అమ్మా చదువుకో ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని వంట చేసుకోని I'll be like, okay నేను చేసుకుంటాను నేను అంత కష్టంగా లేదులే నాన్న.
The funniest thing is with driving, especially driving. You know, parents like they're like, "Abba, mali insurance katali navyaki."
This is also a big thing with that, like usually boys get to do that girls don't get to do until later in a lot of not just Indian but like South Asian cultures. They're like, nu cheytam endukamma nenu dinputanu ninnu. And it's not the fact of doing it, it's just like learning it.
Honestly, it's so true. So I was driving from Ohio to Indiana. It's just like an hour away. I was like, never ever in my life I'm going to sit with my father in driving. He's like, ilaga speed ga veltunnavu, gas aipotundi twarga. And he was like, Navya, you know what, when the cops are there, they're going to catch you, so you have to drive with the crowd. He lectured me until the way till we stopped at McDonald's so he can take the other route. I was like, Abba, nenu malli drive cheyanu.
My dad is like super dramatic. He'll sit in the car, and if he's in the passenger seat, he'll be like, and I'm like, Dad, there's like 5 feet left. Like I can still brake. Like I'm fine. But like after a while, I was like, you know what? This isn't just me. I'll prove to you that I'm a good driver. And I had my brother sit in the back, and we were driving, and my dad's like, and then like my little brother Sai is like, Akka is a better driver than you, Dad. I don't understand why you're like scared. I'm not scared. I trust Akka. My dad was like, how can you like do this to me? Why did you flip on me? And Sai is like, this is the truth. I'm getting old.
Did you tell him to say that?
No. So it has to be organic, or because Sai doesn't listen to what I say. If I told him to say it, he'd be like, yeah. And then he'd be like, Dad, Akka told me to say that she's a great driver. Like he would totally rat me out super quick.
Gotta love younger siblings, you know?
Yeah.
I want to add to what Navya said. I think first stage is really important for our parents, and I definitely am with them about it, because from how they grew up, how my dad grew up, you know, he was like really good in math, really good in studies. He worked hard, you know, his parents, you know, weren't that fortunate for him to learn. And, you know, we came here and he's trying to, you know, provide us the best education, best resources, right? Thing with me is that I didn't do so well in high school, and it kind of, you know, I always felt, you know, I never reached their expectations. But I think all it took me was time to say that, hey Dad, just give me time, because this is not what I'm good at, but let me just, you know, take some time off. And that's what I did. You know, I went to college and like focused, and then, you know, now I got a job, and I think he's proud of me. But I think everyone needs to understand, just us and the parents, and we just need to give everyone time and their own, you know, space.
Everyone, like in each generation needs. I was just going to say each generation needs to be understanding of each other. Go ahead, Navya.
Nah, as Indians, parents say, they'd be like, time? Indigo time? Because I asked my parents, I had a set plan, like, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna work in the Peace Corps after I graduate, take a gap year. I was like, my parents were like, Induko gap year? Induko gap year తీసుకుంటావు? Like, just go straight into law school. I was like, no, I want to actually work in nonprofit, be part of the Peace Corps. Because, like, after I graduate, I want to take a year off and do service in, like, a country. So the Peace Corps was, like, the best way I want to go into. So they were like, gap year? Why gap year? I was like, let me get my brain, like, in, like, peace mode, okay?
I think it's just weird to them because when they were moving here, a lot of them had to like rewrite exams and do different things, and they feel like they've wasted those years and they wish they could get them back, and so they don't want you to ever feel like you wasted any time. And also, a lot of them, the reply that they've given me at least is that like time is money, and like if you settle it now, you can like start earning earlier, and then you can like save for your future better, which is a great plan, and I know that it's a great plan because if they didn't have that plan, then I wouldn't be able to do the dumb things that I do now. But I think also our generation is a little bit more like contemplative about ideas of like, are we really in the place where we're meant to be? Are we going to our destination in a place that'll make us happy? And so we're taking that time now so we don't have to worry about that later, which is a different mentality, and that's fine. But it's again like you need to like cross that cultural barrier of like where they grew up and where you're growing up and try to understand each other. I feel like slowly talking to your parents about different like taboo topics, like the fact that never have I ever had so much sex in it. Like most Indian families are so like taboo and repressive about sex, like they don't talk about it. But the more you're like, oh, we learned this in school, or like, oh, did you hear about this? Like the more you talk about it, the easier it becomes. But in their culture, it's not normal to talk about it, so it kind of pushes that burden onto us to be like, hey, mom and dad, let's have a family dinner. I'm going to tell you about all the weird things in the world.
That's impossible. No, for me, my parents, like, when it came to career-wise, they were like, from second grade, I think she's going to be a doctor. Then after that, I was like, you know what, mom, dad, I'm going to become a historian. And then after that, I was like, mom and dad, I'm going to become an actress. Let's go. I told my parents actress. So then when my cousins, this is like a typical Indian like family, like extended family. I was like, hey, akka nenu actor of anukuntunnanu. I want to be an actor. She goes, tells her mother, and then they tell my dad, and then my dad's like, yeah, navya actor, yalaga indukante connections kavali. I was like, you know what? Never, ever, ever tell anything to your cousins or extended family. Lakapote, your parents will start lecturing you about it. So then I was like, okay, actor, actress, let's do psychologist. And then after I took AP psychology, I was like, no, this is not for me. And then I kept on changing until I reached law. Now parents were like, okay, final, settle. Aipinda, inka change chase. I was like, no. We're Gucci. We're good. So I feel like it's just like parents are really worried about where you're going to end up. So
yeah, they just want to make sure you have like a stable thing to fall back on.
Okay, another topic. Do you guys celebrate Christmas? Any of you guys?
Hey. My family doesn't, but I kind of just push like Christmassy things onto them. Like, especially because they didn't do it when I was a kid. My aunt would be like, oh, let's put a Christmas tree up, because she's like more modern aunt in my family. So she's the one that does all these things for the kids, is what she says. But I think she really enjoys it too. But then my parents are like, I don't care. And then once my aunt and uncle moved away, they were like, what do you mean you want a Christmas tree? Like, but when my brother was born, I was like, he's a little kid, and I'm gonna give him everything that you didn't give me. So every Christmas, I'll like force them to go like put the Christmas tree up, and like, or I force them to buy one first. Force them to put it up. I like make cookies with my brother, and then I'll be like, you gotta get side presents. It's not fair. And then I'll slowly convince my dad into like buying presents for my brother.
Literally, presents don't exist. Like Christmas Day is just like a normal day for my family. We're just like, either we just look at kamga kochoni, movies, chuskoni, annam, bojnam tinanam.
The only reason my dad agrees to presents is because my birthday and my brother's birthday are around Christmas. So he's like, nen presents istanu. And then he's just like, birthday, Christmas, combined ga istanu. And I'm like,
literally every day, if I ask, hey, can I get like a gift? Like I got gift cards on my birthday, okay? But like if it's Christmas, they'd be like, Yeah, mana పుస్తకంలో కడుతున్నాము కదా! ట్యూషన్‌లు కడతాం. Like we're paying your tuition కదా! ఎందుకు గిఫ్ట్ నీకు? I was like, "Okay, I get it." Funny thing, I was about to go to Peru in high school.
Mhm.
I asked my dad, "Hey dad, can I go to Peru?" He was like, gives me a lecture trying to say no. I was like, "Daddy, I understand. You're telling me no. ఎన్ని సార్లు చెప్తావు no no అని." కదా!
ఒకసారి యెస్ అని కూడా చెప్పొచ్చు కదా! కొత్తగా ఉంటది.
So yes, it was this year. This year I was supposed to go to Peru. Now suitcase, pack chasey. I took a picture because I have a blog for it. And then University of Cincinnati Chipper, they be like study abroad programs canceled. I'll be like, ఏంటిది దేవుడా ఇలాగా టర్న్ ఇచ్చావు నా జీవితంలో.
సారీ బంగారం. ఏంటో ఇలా జరిగిపోయింది. నేను ఆపలేకపోయాను.
So I mean, maybe next year I'll go to Peru. I don't know.
Coming back to the whole Christmas, my parents don't like actually celebrate it, but we put lights like outside our house in our front yard and all that kind of stuff. And we had some family friends who do celebrate Christmas, uh, and I think it's special because that's how Sai and I met, because we met actually at a Christmas party, and that's how we are like friends. So
That's
that was like 10 years ago.
Meant to be.
Literally Diwali lights is Christmas lights for us.
Yes, 100%. So
We don't have to change it. We just leave it there.
ఇంకో question, అంటే coming back to the topic, when you guys were talking about the like in the American stuff, right? నాకు ఎలా అనిపించిందంటే ఇక్కడ like the culture here, uh, like especially if you're white, they expose you to like different things, right? Like say for example, when you turn 21, um, they give their kid alcohol, or I've heard people doing it before that age too, just for the just the kids to understand what it is. And then they have like the taboo like topics to talk about. But mana culture lo entindante, like we try to restrict as much as possible, and we don't educate. And I think akkanne konamandi spoil aitharu, like they don't know their limits. And I think uh especially Telugu parents should educate their kids on like whatever it could be, right? The alcohol, or like the taboo topics there are. You should let them know like, hey, these are the things that happen, this is what it is. And then they should like give them space to actually experience that, and then let them talk with their parents about how they felt when this happened.
I feel like within the Indian culture, it's just like sometimes they're like, let them know. Like they're just like push you out in the real world.
Yeah.
So like with American culture, I was like, Mom, Dad, you know what? Let me work. Like I want to get a job. I want to work. And I started working at 17. My mom was like, Induku jobu, like memo like double kartunamu kada, like we're paying for your stuff. I was
నేను
like,
సంపాదిస్తున్నాను కదమ్మా, నీ ఉద్యోగం చదువుకోవడం ఒక్కటే
kada?
చదువుకుని బాగా ఇంజనీరో డాక్టరో అవ్వాలి.
Oh no. Like I was like, let me work. So they gave me the opportunity to work. So I told like my parents like, hey, I want to be independent, because in the real world I just don't want to like end up be like, oh shit, how do I do this? Like, oh shit, like that like in the beginning there's like that Fergie basically like, oh shit. I don't know what song was it, but like it was like that beginning part. So I feel like with Americans, they will be like, you know what, you're gonna go work and make your own money. But while within the Indian culture, they're like, you know what, we'll pay for everything until you get a proper job where you can pay for yourself. That kind
I
of
think
stuff.
it's not just like Indian culture. I think it's greater Asian culture, and also a lot of immigrant cultures where like in their own like cultural bubble, a lot of times a lot of things are tabooed, and there isn't as big of access to education on those topics. Like it's growing now, but like when our parents were kids, when they were back in India, there wasn't really like sex education and stuff like we have. That's like a blessing we have, that we are able to learn those things in like a very standardized setting with like people telling you what's fact, what's not, and what's actually going to help you. Unfortunately, even that is very sporadic across America. They
Right.
don't have like a standardized like lesson, but still just be having access to it, having access to the internet. being open to that conversation is very different for them. In India, it's like, why would you talk about this? Instead of like, why don't you talk about this in the right way? And so the people who move here from India, they have to have a certain level of awareness in order to let their kids either learn that or actively try to seek out those conversations. And like some people do have it. Some aunties are so like understanding and like accepting of new cultures. And I'm like, Auntie, you had this all planned out before you came here. And some people, my family, some people, I love my family, but like it's sometimes not as planned out. You just want a better future for your kids and you move and then you're just trying to figure it all out. There's such a big culture change, everything's new to you, and you're just trying to be a person and do your best. And at those times, sometimes is where you find the biggest clashes of like, oh, why would you need to do that? Do you really need to take this class? Do you really need to work by yourself? Do you need to do these things?
Literally, my parents ask me those questions like, is it necessary? Like, why are you taking this class? Why are you getting this? Is it worth it? Like, give me more evidence so I can like look into it, you know? Typical Indian parents. Like when it comes to like the taboo, like with clothing, one day when I was in India, I secretly brought shorts, wore it. My grandma, no, my Padma and my mom were like, Navya, why are you wearing shorts in the house? And then I go up to my mom. I was like, Amma, why do guys freely wear shorts? And you're coming up to my face and telling me, Induku shortlu veskunavu, like your legs are showing. Because I have a great grandma who passed away like last year. And she would like, look, what if she looked and saw you? I was like, let me be who I want to be, okay?
Clothes, and then like swimming pools, and then like about like girls going in swimming pools and be like, nalla padipotav chlorine ninchamma enduku neeku abbalna adukonivu, stuff like this bothers me so much, and I'm just like, thank you for telling me, jumps right into the pool.
No, I wish I said this dialogue. Me pani me chuskandi.
Oh my gosh, it's nice to think about saying, but like they would take it so as like being so rude.
We women have to be like, we gotta be like,
yeah, which is why I'll nicely thank them, be like, నాకు చెప్పినందుకు నేను చాలా appreciate చేస్తున్నాను, ఇలానే చెప్తా ఉండండి, and then I'll jump into the pool because I want to. Just tell me, it's fine. Tell me what you are, so I will know that you're gonna judge me, and I will still be me. Judge me if you must.
Right.
When my mom was like showing a lot of extra care, and like I was telling her, hey, you know, you know, it's okay, like I got this handled and stuff like that, and then I used the analogy of like, okay, you know, you have a glass in your hand, right? Like if you hold it like this, you know, it'll stay, but if you like hold it really tight, eventually it's gonna break, you know. So I was just trying to tell her, you know, you don't have to worry so much, and you don't have to be like always cushioning on like us on the side all the time. You know, we are eventually growing, and you'll see that.
I'll explain to you in Telugu movie culture. It's the Bomarellu scene. Nana, inka na chetul nuvve pattukununnaavu, nee chetulo na che inka, like it's that kind of feeling, Navya. It's like నువ్వు వదిలేస్తే నేను అప్పుడు like బతకగలుగుతాను, నేను ఊపిరాడుద్ది.
True.
That those feels.
It's okay when you're staying at home, you cannot breathe until you step outside. That's when you can take it all in.
I mean, I don't want to generalize. Some people, their parents are super chill, and I'm so happy for them. But
yeah, my parents are chill. They're not super strict, but they're like strict on a few things.
And I think our parents have also like changed a lot since like 10 years ago. Aunties that used to like tell me not to put my hair in a ponytail like 10 years ago, and to not like wear certain clothes. Now they're like, did you see that new style of blouse that's sleeveless? And I'm like, I don't like wearing sleeveless. And they're like, no, everyone's wearing it, Kana. And I'm like, Auntie, when did you become more modern than me?
No, under na family lo chiptaru. Me, amma, like your mother is like so pretty, and then look at you guys. You're just gonna become like akkas and chellis. What the hell what is everybody saying nowadays?
Oh my gosh. There's a certain level of like Indian commentary that you have to just be like, huh, okay, and like let it go. Elsa is telling the truth, spitting straight facts. Just let it go.
spit it out.
Because like they don't understand your culture. Also, like when Indian American kids go to India, a lot of times they get like the "Nee culture ni teliyaleedamma," and I'm like, I know my culture. It just isn't this culture. It's a mix of this and a different culture.
No, అందరూ చెప్తారు మీకు అమెరికా ఇష్టమా or India ఇష్టమా? I'd be like,
నాకు నేను ఇష్టం.
yes, I love me. This is me.
This is me.
This is me. Wait, what's that song from Camp Rock again?
This is me. This is me. I am who I want. I don't remember this. I was too old when this came out to be like on that hype train, but I remember the song.
Shine on me. Yeah. Okay, ఇంకా క్వశ్చన్లు ఉన్నాయా?
ఆడపిల్లల్ని ఏమైనా అడగాలని ఎప్పుడైనా అనుకున్నారా? Any serious questions where you're like, I want to know?
Oh yeah, YouTube were on like those YouTube videos where like guys can't ask these questions to girls or something like that.
I do have a question to ask you guys then.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, we had this somewhat of a conversation before the podcast, right? Like 2 days ago and stuff. But like guys, like, you know, they take time to think about and process what they're saying and all that kind of stuff. But how do you guys have like so much on your mind to say? Like that's a question I still don't like. I don't have an answer to.
Honestly, I feel like the environment, the people who you talk to, and the people what you're watching gets like stuffed in your brain, you know. So like I have constant thoughts. Like I could talk to you about like the assassination of Gianni Versace. I just watched an episode 5. Got 4 more to go to finish the American Crime Story season 2. Even though I skipped season 1, which was People versus O.J. Simpson. So I mean, the interests you have, the environment you grew up in, the people you're talking to, you can like keep on blabbing.
First of all, I think it's your personality. Some people need time to process, and some people process things really fast. It's like different computers like work at different speeds, and some can handle high content use and like a lot of strain, and some can't. I don't know why I went computer with that, but you'll get it better. But for a lot of people, because they can do that, they absorb so much around their culture that they'll start to infuse it into their conversation, and then you get even more topics to talk about because it gives you more avenues to go down.
Another question before we, you know, go to our last round of our podcast. What do you think needs to change, especially in the South Indian culture? Ante immediate change chudalante. What do you think?
I mean, I know what things I want to change, but I also want to know what you guys have seen as boys. Like, is there anything that you would like to change, and then we can tell about like extra things we have.
I can say something, but I don't know like if you guys can relate to that or not. But I think it's the whole like, for me, it's like the whole like dating thing. That's one thing that needs to change, because they think like, you know, ante andaru kaadu alla, but kondamandu untaru like they'll just judge you, and I think, you know, that's just a part of, you know, who you are, right? Like that's part of your life. It's not your entire life. So naku chadukovalani undi, so I want to study well, I want to get a good job, I want to have everything, you know, friends, family, like we see girlfriend, like all these kind of things, right? So in my opinion, I think first to change out there, it'll be good. And second, it's like, you know, give us more leniency on like, you know, what we want to study, instead of like pushing us to go into the like, you know, traditional like engineering or medical like areas. I mean, if you guys are interested, please go ahead, but like, you know, I think parents should not be forcing their kids to go into these particular ones. Exactly.
Especially it's like a norm in India for me. When I was like, everybody in India is like, doctor aithe, wow, reputation undi, pedda pedda dabbulu sampatinchukochu kada. Like there's that. But when I be like law, they'd be like, yeah,
It's
cool.
okay, Navya. I'll hype you up. Law, yeah.
But one thing the one thing that needs to change is people need to mind their goddamn business. Like when auntie Lou, I told you this yesterday, when auntie Lou street మీద కూర్చొని బాగా చదువుకుంటున్నావు కదా, లైక్ ఏం చేస్తున్నావు, ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ వచ్చిందా లేదా, Oh, మా బాబు కదా! మా బాబు ఫస్ట్ ర్యాంక్ వచ్చాడు. Like, okay, like, I don't care about your
Auntie
kid, I care
culture.
about myself, so mind your own business, keep flapping that fan near your face, and move on with your life. Like, కష్టపడి ఆ డైలాగ్స్ వినాలి. Like, this is with my relatives, like, my cousin's, like, mamaya and her atta, I think that's when you marry someone, I don't know the relation, but they'd be like, బాగా చదువుకోవాలి, okay? సరేనా? సరేనా? When they're
బాగా
girls,
చదువుకోవాలి, అందంగా ఉండాలి, తెల్లగా ఉండాలి.
తెల్లగా ఉండాలి కదా! No, they'd be like, బాగా చదువుకోవాలి కదా! బాగా కష్టపడి చదువుకోవాలి, కష్టపడాలి. I'd be like, okay, yeah.
My Nana's go-to phrase is రక్తం ఉడికేటట్టు కష్టపడాలమ్మా. And I'm like, am I in Simhadri? Like, what am I doing here?
Are you in Boyabati Srina's films?
Apparently, according to my dad, like literally, my Nana is like, అమెరికాకు వచ్చింది ఎందుకంటే రక్తం కష్టపడేటట్టు చదువుకుంటే మనం ఇక్కడికి రాగలిగాం. నువ్వు కూడా రక్తం కష్టపడి చదువుకుని లైక్ మనం ఇక్కడికి వచ్చామని ప్రూఫ్ చేసుకోవాలమ్మా. I was like, నాకు జస్ట్ ఐస్ క్రీమ్ కావాలని అడిగాను నాన్న. నేను ఇంత లైక్ బ్యాక్ స్టోరీ అడగలేదు.
No, funny thing, raktam, and then you start writing your whole essay with blood. Chhatrapati. Chhatrapati.
Oh, those psycho fields. But I understand. It's like that, like, immigrant work ethic is what he's talking about. I'm like, but I don't want to work hard. I want to work smart. Like, work well and be focused on what you do.
Yeah. So, అందరూ కడుపు నిండిపోయింది నవ్వులతో కదా ఈరోజు?
Sai, is there anything you want to change about Indian culture?
We definitely can't, like, tell our parents what they need to be, right? Because they're new to the parenting too. But if there's anything that I would request or, like, ask them to do is, like, if, like, this is what we learned from American culture, right? Like, whatever happens in our home, just stays in our home. Like, I really either our achievements or, like, anything that's related to us, keep it to us, because, like, when our parents share or, like, brag about us to other people, right? I think it kind of reciprocates, because now that our parents told them, I think the issue there from there on is that we have to continue that, continue to reach their expectations, and the issues comes in where we don't reach them and we make them sad. So if they allow us to be free and be a free bird and not expect us to reach their expectations, because they have their expectations, we have our own expectations, right? I think all my life I've been asking myself, like, whose expectations am I here to do? Like, am I supposed to make me happy, or am I supposed to make them happy? And it's an all life going answer, but it's so to tone it down, I wish our culture should be based on happiness instead of
Judgment.
Judgment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that, like, I agree with all of the things that you guys said. I want so many changes from our culture, especially with all the things going on now. I want us to genuinely accept, like, other cultures and other races. I want us to not be as prejudiced about, like, the way we see the world, the way we see danger in our own communities. And I want a lot of people who've been here for, like, decades or years now to not feel like they could leave at any moment, to not feel like they're the outsider. I want them to feel like America is, like, their home. But at the same time, I think this all comes down to just being able to be open and understanding with both your kids and the community that you're in. Sometimes your kids might not be the way you expect, but you have to be willing to, like, compromise with them and say that, like, if they're willing to, like, understand you and try to learn, like, your culture, then you should also be able to understand them and try to see why they would be interested in, like, one kind of relationship or one kind of lifestyle as opposed to another.
I feel like we're that generation that should make the changes that we just mentioned.
Yeah, but we can never do it ourselves. We need to hold the hands of the generation before us and after us.
Yeah.
Our generation is going to be the one that kind of paves that path, especially with everything going on now culturally, with like the big burst in like Asian American representation and everything.
Yeah, I feel like that needs to be a bit stronger, like the Asian American representation.
Yeah,
It needs to be worked on.
we'll call Anil and let him know.
I was waiting someone to say his name.
Yeah.
Aww.
Like,
That's
hey,
why Asai's been silent
podcast.
today. He's been thinking of him the entire time. He's missing it.
No, it's kind of funny how Vishal mentioned it because it takes time for me to think and reflect. That's why I can't speak in most of the topics. So like I only spoke much in like the career topics and like, you know, tech topics, and these are topics where it's so taboo for me that I haven't talked before, and so that's why I can't think of any responses.
Silent ka kuchoni vinali kada.
That's it. Yeah.
It's okay. Asai's gonna digest this, and then when he has his own kids or when he has his own friends, he's gonna be like, I know what to say now.
From these extrovert girls, I know things now.
But yeah, when I have kids, I'll tell them, hey, talk to these aunties. They
Aunties,
know.
Also, not all these aunties.
Good. You hit me in the heart, man. You just increased my age. What the hell? Sai, why you gotta do me like that?
Napia's only 19, bro.
Auntie la. Dude, I tell all my nephews, man, neno auntie kadu akka pillu, please. Lakapote na age under.
Gonelele bangaron.
So I'm gonna sing.
So
Sai,
yeah.
sing.
So like we had like a serious conversation and all that. It's great, and you know we got to get to your opinion on like certain topics here, and I appreciate you guys coming out and talking with us. But to go into our last round, we're gonna start something new. And yes, we've talked before the podcast. So you guys wanna sing a couple lines of a Telugu song you guys like?
5, 6, 7, 8.
Egire
Mabulona,
Pagle venelona, పలికే నవ్వుల వీణ, గుండెల్లో సాగే సాగలేవో, ఏ హృదయం ఈ హృదయం
కుంటి ప్రేమ
ఈ
ఈ నిమిషం ఏది నిజం తెలియకుంటే ఈ మాయ
ఆశపడితే
అందనందే
ఊరుకుంటే
ఊరుకుంటే చేరుకుందే.
తగులు.
None said the last line.
I messed up somewhere in the middle, but
It's fine. I think it's just not.
it's hard to say the lyrics.
Yeah, it's not synchronized.
Yeah, because it's like English wise, like
Yeah.
pronunciations.
I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and I hope the audience is going to connect to a lot of points. And we got two special guests here, Navya and Veda, and they really shared their like opinion on different things, and we were goofy and silly, but I hope everybody enjoys and has a good day. So see you guys later. Signing off, Vishal and Sai. You want to add something?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really grateful that these wonderful women reached out, because it's this whole conversation, the idea that Vishal brought up, it was his idea, but it's this whole point of this episode is to gather our thoughts about what we feel like in the entire culture, right? We're not there's no intention in anything other than that. It's just we spoke up. So please take this as like a small thing, like we're just joking around, having fun. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. after this podcast, feel free to reach out to Navya and Veda, because they're people that will really listen to you, like anything you have to say, because they're well versed in like almost everything, and they're so um they're so in
Sai sigu, abo, sai.
they're gonna hit big in their careers, because one's studying doctor, one's studying law, and they'll help you. They helped us. We had great chats this couple of days, and um you know they might be help to you, and the whole thing is to help us learn about each other more. And I felt like we definitely learned about Veda and Navya like more than ever, like, and I hope you guys have the same feeling.
Dude, Sai, is this like some graduation speech you just pulled out here? But like on my
Me with
end,
the feels.
I know, right? But on my end, I would like to say thank you guys for having me. Like, I really, really appreciate this. Like, at least we have some Telugu podcast that's like going to be viewed to our Telugu viewers. Hope kadupu navis. Okay, you know what? Let me just speak in English. Like, kapatid like na Telugu andaru చెవులు మూసుకోవాలి కదా. Hope you guys laughed. Hope your stomachs are filled with our like stupidity jokes that we just pulled out of nowhere. But again, I would like to say thanks for having me and thanks for doing this podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having both of us. And if anybody ever wants to reach out to us through you, they can always ask us any questions, and we'd love to give silly answers. Serious answers.
Our social media links.
Hope everyone has had a good time.
Social media links down below.
Also reach out to Sai and Vishal. They have really good opinions if you ever need help with anything.
Thank you guys. So that's it, guys. Hope to keep you entertained with the podcast next week. All right. See you guys.